Hey, folks, you knew this was coming. Huawei Mate 9. Time to unbox it. I got this one at CES. This is, I believe, the US model, which, as you know, launched at CES for $599. This is big news. This is Huawei's flagship large phone for the year. A little preface before I get started. I was very excited last year by the Huawei Mate 8. I used it extensively at Mobile World Congress. I was not available in the US, but it was very similar, just basically didn't have a dual camera like this year's model. And the battery life was unreal. The performance at the time, it was the fastest Android phone I had ever used. So I have really high hopes for the Mate 9 to be just as good. This phone came out in the rest of the world back in November, I think. There's plenty of reviews online, but it's my first chance to play with one. Got it at CS, went on vacation, just got back. So here it is. Now, another thing to note is, I don't know what compelled me, but when I was at CS, I actually took this out of the box and peeled off the stickers. So don't yell at me, but the stickers are no longer on the phone. But it was brand new, and it's mine. So there you go. Huawei Mate 9 Leica dual camera. Here we go. And here it is. Look at this beautiful white phone. And as I said, I failed. I removed the front and back protecting label, but here's that beautiful slab of aluminum. So gorgeous, so wonderful. And one of the first things you notice right away here is how there is very little bezel on this phone, just like last year's Mate 8. It's all screen, almost all screen. It's not as obviously, that's pleasant. We have an alarm outside. So it's not as, bezel-less as, say, the Mi Mix or anything like that, but it is quite a beautiful phone. This is a 5.9-inch phone. The Mate 8 last year was a 6-inch phone, so a little smaller, but with just still the same full screen, very little bezel design. Let's go through the rest of the box and have a look at what else is in here. Some dirt, apparently. I had sticky fingers. Huawei design. Check this out. So you open this and you get these two little boxes. So delightful. And some crumbs, apparently. So let's go and look at what's in these two boxes. Well, according to the icons here, we've got a charger, headphones, and cable, I guess, and manual SIM removal tool, potentially a protective case. Let's start with this box. This is exciting. Whoa, SIM removal tool indeed. It was right there and fell right out. So let's see if I can stick it back in here. There we are. So this is your SIM removal tool, which just fell out again. And then here, I was right. There's a protective case. Very nice. Let's see what we've got here. Ooh, kind of, it's textured. Hear this. Textured on the inside. Cool. I'm probably going to use this just because it's such a beautiful phone. I don't want, in case I just drop it out of my pocket, which happens most of the time when I drop a phone, it comes out of my pocket while I'm sitting down. And then the corners get slightly dinged, nothing major, but this just prevents just that. I'm not the kind of person who loses their phones flying from a really big height or anything like that. So in here we're supposed to get the manuals. Ooh, this nice little pouch. And as you can see, this has not been opened because that's the part I was smart enough not to take apart. Huawei Mate 9, dual camera, quick start guide, English and Spanish. And here's your warranty card. Nothing too much about this. Let's go to the other box and I'll get my SIM removal tool that fell on the floor later. Here we go. Oh, well, things are coming out. Here's what it looks like inside. So there's your headphones. They look like copies of Apple's earbuds in many ways. Look at that. not going to take them out, but you get a feel for them. Interesting. Let's see what else we got. Whoa, stuff is coming out. Ooh, an adapter. It looks like a USB Type-C to micro USB adapter. Look at that. I don't want to take this apart, but yeah, so this is micro USB coming in. So if you have an old charger, you can adapt micro USB to clearly USB Type-C here. I don't know if you can see it. So yeah, interesting. So here's USB Type-C cable. Ooh, and it's purple inside. I don't know if you can see that. Let me... See how it's purple inside? You know why that is? Because the Mate 9 has like something very similar to dash charging, which is what is used on the OnePlus 3 and 3T, which is this is the much larger than usual power brick. And so just like OnePlus, Huawei on the Mate 9 is using a special adapter and a special cable to deliver high current or high voltage, I can't remember, one of the two, to the phone for really fast charging beyond what you're used to with Quick Charge 3. This phone isn't running Snapdragon anyway, so it wouldn't use Quick Charge 3. So this is interesting. I'll be testing and let you know if this is compatible with dash charging from OnePlus or not. It'd be good because it's starting to get annoying with all these proprietary quick charge schemes to have all these adapters in your bag, basically just because, oh, I took the OnePlus with me today, I need to have the dash charger. Oh, I took the Mate 9, I need to have this charger. You know what I'm saying. All right, let's get back to the phone and talk about the phone a little bit. I'm going to turn it on for you guys. And we'll walk through the specs, and I honestly, I'm not reviewing it, this is just an unboxing. I'm going to start using it. I was hoping to start using it during this vacation that I took after CS, but I didn't have time. And I wanted to do an unboxing before I really start playing with it. So you're lucky that you check it out. consumerhuawei.com/US down here. So this is a US phone for the first time ever. Huawei Mate 9 EMUI, which is Huawei's interface. There you have it. Beautiful IPS panel. Now, do not panic, but this phone is a 1080p 5.9-inch phone. Last year's Mate 8 was a 1080p 6-inch phone. So they reduced the size of the screen a tiny bit and made the phone even more compact with even less bezel potentially. Not sure why they went from a 6-inch to a 5.9-inch, maybe because it's more manageable to hold. But if you think this is too big and or you want a 2K display, you are in luck. Not in the US, but abroad. Huawei sells a Mate 9 Pro, which has a 5.5-inch display with curved edges, just like the Galaxy S7 Edge, and has a 2K display, meaning not 1080p, but the full-on 1650 or whatever, 1560, whatever it is. All right, 25. I can't remember. 2K. 2560, I think, by 1440. Somebody correct me right now, quickly. Anyway, this is only 1080p 5.9, but you have a smaller version of this phone with a 2K display if you really want it. So there you have it. In front, you have earpiece, sensors, and an 8-megapixel front-facing camera. Now, this camera is cool. It's an f/1.9 camera, so it's going to be pretty awesome in low light. And down here, I'm not sure if there's any buttons on screen, buttons or physical buttons, but there's a beautiful Huawei logo. The glass is slightly 2D here, 2.5D, whatever you want to call it. And in the back, check out the back on this beauty. You got this crazy dual camera setup that we saw on the P9 and the Honor 8 last year, and is now continuing on with the Mate 9. But it is being vastly improved. Leica is continuing to collaborate with Huawei on making this camera better. And what we now have is two improvements. So just walking you through last year's setup on the P9 and the Honor 8. Last year we had two identical 12 megapixel sensors, but one was monochrome, the other one was color. And together you could get basically better, lower noise and better dynamic range by having two sensors and having one specializing purely on light intensity versus color, right? Like your eyes have cones and rods. You have one camera dedicated to the light detection, one camera to the color detection. Made a lot of sense. But the P9 and the Honor 8 had two major drawbacks. They did not have OIS, and they did not have, the f-stop was 2.2, which is kind of not the best. You really want an f-stop smaller than 2.1, a wider aperture. This still maintains a f/2.2 f-stop, but the monochrome sensor, which I have no idea which of these two it is, has now got a 20 megapixel sensor, which might be noisier, but you don't really experience noise too much in monochrome photos, so that's not a bad deal necessarily. Laser autofocus, dual color, dual LED flash right here. I'm going to kind of orient the phone so you can kind of see the lenses, cameras up front, like there you go, a little bit more detail on this arrangement. So I haven't played with this, but from what I'm hearing, the 20 megapixel monochrome sensor versus 12 gathers even more detail and enhances the dynamic range and the noise even further. And the OIS on both lenses means that it's going to be rock steady in low light, which was one of the big drawbacks of the P9 and the Honor 8. Fingerprint sensor, of course, NFC's on board. This is a full-on flagship, guys. So let's talk about the specs. What's inside? You've got a Kirin 960 from HiSilicon, which is basically Huawei's own chip. This is Huawei's best chip to date. Last year they did the P9 with the 955, and they did the Mate 8 and the Honor 8 with the 950. These are screaming chips. You're talking about the same rate of performance, same level of performance as Snapdragon 821, 820-ish in this device. So it's pretty exciting. As I said, 5.9-inch IPS 1080p. Inside is a 4,000 milliamp hour battery. And one of the reasons I really got excited about the Mate 8 last year was that it had a massive battery as well. And the Kirin chips are super efficient, meaning that I was able to use that phone for about 2 days in a row at Mobile World Congress under the most intense show situation as a journalist. So really top-notch battery life and performance. And the Mate 8 was the fastest phone I'd ever used at the time. I would say today the fastest phone that I have is probably my Pixel XL. So let's see if this lives up to that kind of performance. Of course, it's running Android Nougat, which is good news. As you can see here, there's a USB Type-C connector this year. Last year with micro USB. Two grills. I don't think this has stereo speakers. Probably one of them is for the mic, one of them for mono speaker. On top, you have a headphone jack. You can see how thin this phone is from the size of the headphone jack. IR transmitter, of course. And I don't see a secondary mic anywhere. Oh, there it is. Right there for noise reduction. Right-hand side, power lock key and volume rocker. Clearly, right, as you see. There's no texture on the power button, which I think would be nice, but it's missing. And of course on the left hand side is a SIM slot. Now there are two versions of the Mate 9. One is single SIM, one is dual SIM, but both have micro SD expansion in here. If you have the dual SIM version, you sacrifice one SIM if you want to put a micro SD card. Don't know if the US version, this model that I have, is dual SIM or not. I'll have to take out the tray and have a look. This is a full machined aluminum with beveled edges, super slick antenna bands, basically state-of-the-art manufacturing and materials, right? Like no ifs or buts. You have these two plastic covers, but unlike some of the cheaper Honor phones, it doesn't bend over backwards to the edges. This edge is still metal. It's just this tiny little window here is plastic, and this one as well, probably for the antennas. And you can kind of see a difference in color, but it feels smooth through the finger, which is really interesting. Feels great in hand, just like the Mate 8. Of course, the Mate 8 is slightly bigger at 6 inches. But overall, I think this is going to be a phenomenal phone. I can't wait to put my SIM in it and go nuts, especially with the photos. I mean, to me, the P9 was one of the most delightful phones in the Honor 8 to take photos with last year because of all the options you had, the creative options you had as a photographer. And this now adds us what was really missing the most, which is OIS. And this 20 megapixel monochrome sensor versus the 12 one should be really interesting in terms of detail. Now, the 12 megapixel color sensor, 12 megapixels is actually a really good number because it means the pixels are large, which means they gather more light and noise is reduced. And in color, you really see noise with chroma issues in color a lot. So there you have it. I should hit back. My Mate 9 unboxing. Stay tuned for more thoughts on this phone as I get it. This has everything but the kitchen sink. The only thing missing is wireless charging. It does have fast charge. It has USB Type-C. It has NFC. It has this crazy dual camera, amazing front-facing camera, beautiful screen even though it's 1080p. And again, you can get a 5.5-inch version with a 2K display and curved edges. It has a fast processor. Oh, I didn't mention 4 gigs of RAM, 64 gigs of storage. The Pro model, which is the smaller screen, curved edge, 2K display version, has 6 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of storage. $599 in the US, officially sold, has every band for every LTE network in the world. Of course, it doesn't support CDMA, which means you can't use it on Verizon and Sprint. But if you put this with a T-Mobile or AT&T SIM in the US and then you travel the world as much as I do, you'll be able to use this phone on LTE in almost any country as soon as you pop a local SIM in. Bonus. So there you go. This, my friends, is the cat's meow. It's the Mate 9 from Huawei, and it's probably going to be one of the best phones of 2017. I'm going to let you go. Subscribe, watch my other videos, like this video, all that good stuff. And again, I'm here to do live videos full of errors and car alarms like earlier. I'm sorry about that, but I was not going to stop the video because you know what? It's live. You got to live with it. So stay tuned for more, and I'll talk to you later. Cheers.